Kensington Palace, has just issued a mandate that effectively cuts off Queen Camilla's inner circle from premium royal access. Prince William has officially stepped in to take control of institutional protocols, and the structural fallout within Buckingham Palace is immediate. Let us get straight to the facts. At exactly 10 o'clock this morning, London time, a formal statement was released to the international press corps. The directive is strict, and it leaves absolutely no room for interpretation or appeal. It establishes that premium access, security clearances, and prominent positioning at core royal events are now exclusively restricted to full-time working royals and individuals holding direct constitutional roles. Anyone relying on social proximity, personal relationships, or unofficial patronage has been permanently reclassified. This is not a proposal for the future. It is an active, immediate mandate that has already been enforced. To understand how we arrived at this morning's announcement, we must look at the timeline from the past 72 hours. According to verified internal schedules, the groundwork for this institutional shift was laid at 9:15 in the morning on the 12th of May. Prince William convened a closed-door meeting at the Lord Chamberlain's office alongside senior royal protection officials. The directive issued during that meeting was clear and actionable. William instructed the security team to review and downgrade the clearances of 14 specific guests directly connected to Queen Camilla's private network. The order was to transition their status from top-tier priority to restricted access. The digital security update was authorized and implemented across the palace network immediately. The practical execution of this order took place on the afternoon of the 14th of May, during Princess Anne's high-profile gathering at Windsor Castle. When those 14 individuals arrived at the entry checkpoints, their standard access was denied. Security personnel informed the group that their credentials had been updated, and they were no longer permitted in the main reception hall. Following the new protocol, the group was systematically redirected to a secondary holding room away from the primary event space. There were no public arguments, no raised voices, and no visible disruptions. The updated protocol was enforced strictly by the book. Queen Camilla was made aware of the access denial shortly after it occurred. Aides report that she immediately confronted the security detail, asking exactly who had authorized the sudden change in protocol without her prior knowledge or consent. The security chief responded directly, stating that the updated instructions came straight from the office of the Prince of Wales and carried full institutional backing. With that single confirmation, the matter was closed on the ground. No further debate was permitted, and the event proceeded exactly as Princess Anne had scheduled it. This development represents a definitive structural shift for the British monarchy. For several years, the boundary between formal royal duty and private social privilege had gradually blurred. Associates of the Queen had been granted elevated status, enjoying the visibility of the crown, without holding the official responsibilities that justify it. Prince William's new mandate completely shuts down that overlap. By enforcing this strict tier system, he is consolidating institutional authority. He is making it unequivocally clear that the future of the monarchy operates strictly on hierarchy, constitutional duty, and public service, rather than social connections. The implications of this morning's statement extend far beyond event seating. It signals a complete reorganization of how royal resources, including security and access, are allocated moving forward. We are currently monitoring the internal response from Clarence House as this timeline develops. You need to press the subscribe button and turn on notifications right now. In our next segment, we will examine the financial documents tied to Queen Camilla's charitable networks, and detail exactly how this new Kensington Palace mandate will impact the distribution of royal funding. If you think you understand how royal power operates, you need to see exactly how Prince William dismantled it without a single raised voice at the Norman Gate. The foundation of this shift was not laid in public, but through a highly classified administrative document circulated on the morning of the 12th of May. Inside the palace security network, it is referred to as Internal Memo 404. This directive systematically redefined the security protocol known as Tier 1. For decades, Tier 1 access was the ultimate royal privilege, granting unrestricted entry to private corridors, premium reception areas, and the immediate physical proximity of the monarch. Under the new memo authorized by the Prince of Wales, 14 specific individuals connected to Queen Camilla's extended family and private social circle were officially removed from this elite category. Their status was abruptly downgraded to restricted access. In the digital systems of the palace, their premium security clearances simply ceased to exist, turning their invitations into standard entry passes subject to heavy limitations. The practical reality of this administrative update played out 2 days later, on the afternoon of the 14th of May, directly at the Norman Gate of Windsor Castle. As Princess Anne's highly anticipated gathering was about to begin, Queen Camilla's family members arrived, fully expecting the seamless, unquestioned entry they had enjoyed for years. Instead, as their credentials were processed at the checkpoint, the security system flagged their profiles. There was no manual override available. The protection officers stationed at the gate calmly stepped forward and informed the group that their access to the main reception hall was no longer authorized. Rather than joining the senior royals and visiting dignitaries in the primary venue, the group was politely, but firmly escorted to waiting room number 4. Within the strict language of royal protocol, this specific placement is a profound institutional message. Waiting room number 4 is a secondary holding area typically utilized for mid-level administrative staff, external contractors, or overflow guests waiting for brief audiences. Placing the Queen Consort's immediate family in this exact location was a direct, undeniable demonstration of their newly reduced standing within the institution. It was a structural demotion executed in broad daylight. The flawless, unquestioned execution of this directive brings us to a crucial institutional element, the Royalty and Specialist Protection Unit, commonly known as RASP. These elite officers are tasked with securing the monarchy, but their operational loyalty is bound to the constitutional structure, not to personal royal relationships. When Queen Camilla's network was denied entry, internal sources noted a brief moment of disbelief, with questions arising over why the protection team did not defer to the Queen Consort's obvious preferences. The answer is strictly rooted in the hierarchy of the Crown. RASP operates under the direct authority of the established line of succession. Prince William, acting as the direct heir to the throne and the driving force behind these new security mandates, holds ultimate operational authority over future royal protocols. When William issued the internal memo, he established a clear constitutional boundary. The protection officers were simply enforcing the highest level of institutional order, recognizing that the explicit directive of the future king fundamentally supersedes the social and personal requests of the current queen consort. This was not a security glitch. It was the system working exactly as Prince William intended. Influence inside the palace relies on one very specific resource: funding. And at exactly 11:30 this morning, Prince William systematically shut down the primary financial line sustaining Queen Camilla's inner circle. If the security changes at Windsor Castle were a message about physical access, today's financial freeze is a definitive statement about absolute institutional control. To understand the sheer scale of this move, we have to look closely at a highly specific number: $2,450,800. This is not a generalized estimate, or a media rumor. This is the exact sum of royal funding that had been quietly redirected over the past year. Internal audits reveal that this capital was not allocated for official state duties or recognized constitutional work. Instead, it was seamlessly funneled through auxiliary charitable trusts, directly associated with the Queen Consort. But where did that money actually go? According to the financial trails, these funds were distributed to cover aggressive public relations campaigns, private advisory retainers, and highly exclusive networking events designed entirely to elevate the social profile of her extended family. It was, in practice, a privately managed lobbying effort subsidized by the royal treasury. It provided the financial foundation that allowed her associates to operate with the appearance of official royal authority. Today, however, that entire financial operation came to an abrupt halt. The mechanism Prince William used to stop it was purely administrative, making it impossible to publicly challenge. Utilizing his expanding oversight of the sovereign grant, the taxpayer-funded system that finances the monarch's official duties, William ordered an immediate freeze on these specific auxiliary accounts. The Royal Accounting Office simply flagged the $2.45 million as non-compliant with core constitutional functions. There was no argument. There was no negotiation. With a single bureaucratic adjustment, the accounts were locked, and the funding was suspended indefinitely. The immediate fallout of this financial freeze is already sending shockwaves through London's high society. As financial analysts from platforms like Bloomberg often note regarding corporate power structures, loyalty is frequently tied directly to access and capital. The royal family operates on a similar principle. Without the sovereign grant underwriting their initiatives, the social network surrounding Queen Camilla is suddenly facing complete financial isolation. The reality of this isolation is stark. High-end public relations firms demand immediate payment. Strategic consultants require expensive retainers. Elite social events cost hundreds of thousands of dollars to orchestrate. When the royal funding dries up, the loyalty of these external associates vanishes almost instantly. The advisors and socialites, who stood closely by the Queen Consort's family just days ago, are now rapidly distancing themselves. They are realizing that the financial and social benefits of that relationship have been permanently terminated. By cutting off the funding, Prince William did not just win a disagreement about a guest list. He systematically dismantled the financial infrastructure that allowed this secondary network to operate in the first place. He has proven that he controls not just the doors of the royal palaces, but the actual treasury that keeps the institution running. And without that funding, the influence of Camilla's inner circle does not just diminish, it completely collapses. A single document containing fewer than 200 words can sometimes carry more weight than an entire army. At 10 o'clock this morning, Prince William released a statement that permanently redefined exactly what it means to be part of the royal institution. The royal dispatch issued by Kensington Palace was brief, but its impact will reshape the structure of the monarchy for decades to come. To understand the sheer magnitude of this morning's announcement, we must examine the exact phrasing chosen by the Prince of Wales. The statement established that premium royal privileges, including top-tier security, venue access, and official visibility, are now strictly reserved for full-time working royals and individuals executing direct constitutional support functions. Those specific words completely alter the landscape of the palace. The dispatch explicitly noted that social proximity, unofficial patronage, and personal familial connections will no longer qualify anyone for high-level institutional access. This phrasing is nothing short of a strategic masterstroke. If Prince William had explicitly named Queen Camilla's children, her extended family, or her private associates, it would have been instantly framed by the tabloids as a petty, emotional family dispute. It would have looked like a personal grievance. Instead, William used the unshakable shield of the British Constitution to achieve his goal. By leaning heavily into the concept of a modern, streamlined monarchy, a philosophy that King Charles himself has publicly championed for years, William effectively boxed in the opposing side. If Queen Camilla's network attempts to leak their frustrations to the press now, the strategy will completely backfire. They will immediately appear entitled to the public, demanding taxpayer-funded privileges and elite access, without holding any official responsibilities, or performing any actual public service. William did not have to play the villain, or engage in public arguments, he simply enforced the rules. He wrapped an ironclad structural boundary in the polite, undeniable language of bureaucratic efficiency. The reaction across international media has been immediate and profound. Constitutional experts analyzing the dispatch on mainstream platforms, like the BBC and Reuters, have all reached the same unified conclusion: this document is not merely a routine administrative update. It represents a fundamental, undeniable shift in absolute authority. Leading commentators noted this morning that the timing of this dispatch, released on this 15th of May, 2026, during a period of ongoing health challenges for King Charles, signals a critical, historic transition. The king may still technically hold the crown, but the daily, operational control of the monarchy's borders and resources now clearly resides entirely with his heir. Experts emphasizing the legal weight of the statement point out that William has successfully institutionalized his authority. He has transformed a quiet, internal boundary dispute into an official matter of state policy, ensuring that his decisions cannot be quietly overturned by any future lobbying from Clarence House. The palace operates entirely on precedent, and this morning's statement has set a new, uncompromising standard. The era of trading on social connections inside the royal courts is officially over. But while the physical doors to the palace have been firmly shut, the most sensitive legal maneuver of all is currently unfolding behind the scenes. Securing the guest list and locking the treasury were only the preliminary steps to stabilize the institution. The ultimate question of who truly governs the monarchy when the king is compromised is about to be answered. You might assume the Queen Consort simply accepted this sudden shift in protocol and quietly retreated. She did not. Behind the closed doors of Clarence House, a sophisticated media counteroffensive was drafted and ready to launch. But why did it fail so spectacularly before a single headline could even reach the printing presses? On the evening of the 14th of May, just hours after the carefully managed incident at Windsor Castle, the atmosphere inside the reading room at Clarence House was intensely focused. The frustration among Queen Camilla's inner circle was palpable. Recognizing that their physical access was blocked and their financial backing was rapidly slipping away, her external public relations team initiated their standard crisis response. They began drafting a strategic narrative aimed directly at the British tabloids. The angle they chose was designed to be highly emotional. The objective was to quietly frame Prince William as an aggressive, impatient heir, painting a picture of a son ruthlessly asserting his authority while King Charles was vulnerable and heavily focused on his ongoing medical treatments. By positioning her family as the victims of an administrative overreach, the strategy relied on generating public sympathy to force Kensington Palace into an awkward, public retreat. Historically, the British tabloid press thrives on exactly this kind of internal royal friction. It is the exact type of story that sells papers and drives online engagement. Yet, this time, the editors hesitated, and the anticipated wave of sympathetic articles never materialized. The reason for their unprecedented silence was the sheer institutional weight and preemptive strategy of Kensington Palace. Before the Clarence House team could effectively circulate their narrative to their favored journalists, William had already released his 10 o'clock morning dispatch. He did not leave a vacuum for rumors to fill. By explicitly linking the new access protocols to the widely supported concept of a streamlined, working monarchy, William completely neutralized the leak before it gained traction. Any media outlet that chose to print the Clarence House narrative would immediately find themselves defending taxpayer-funded privileges for non-working, unofficial individuals, a deeply unpopular stance with the British public. Furthermore, the implicit warning from William's communications directors was undeniably clear to the press corps. Any publication choosing to challenge the future king's official constitutional mandate would find their own access to premium palace press briefings severely restricted. For the tabloids, the business risk of alienating the incoming monarch was simply too high to justify running a story about a guest list. As the media blackout became undeniable, a harsh reality settled over Clarence's house. For years, Queen Camilla had carefully built her influence through social networking, charity galas, and her immediate proximity to the king. But this crisis revealed that social proximity is not the same as structural authority. With King Charles stepping back from daily operational duties to manage his health, the actual machinery of the crown, the security details, the financial officers, the communications directors, all naturally aligned with the direct line of succession. Prince William represents the constitutional continuity they are sworn to protect. In the quiet hours of that evening, it became strikingly clear that the Queen Consort was operating entirely alone within the institutional framework. Without the king actively shielding her network, her social influence held absolutely no weight against the established hierarchy of the monarchy. The system had seamlessly closed ranks around the heir, leaving her inner circle completely isolated and without a public voice. Everything you have seen so far, the restricted access at Windsor, the financial freeze, and the strict new institutional protocols, is merely the prelude. The true focal point of this entire historic shift arrived in the leather briefcases of the senior partners from Farr and Company, the royal family's private legal firm, who walked through the doors of Kensington Palace at exactly 2 o'clock this afternoon. Why are the most senior constitutional lawyers in the United Kingdom holding closed-door meetings with Prince William on the very same day he restructured the monarchy's core access protocols? The answer lies in a highly specific piece of British legislation known as the Regency Act. This is the legal framework designed to activate when a reigning monarch is no longer capable of fully executing their daily state duties due to illness or incapacity. For months, Buckingham Palace has maintained a steady, reassuring public narrative regarding King Charles and his ongoing medical treatments, stating that he continues to handle his official state papers. However, the sudden, highly visible presence of Farr and Company at Kensington Palace today, coordinating directly with the heir to the throne, signals a profound internal shift. It strongly indicates that the palace's preparations have moved past theoretical discussions and into the realm of active legal drafting. When top-tier constitutional lawyers are summoned in this manner, it is rarely to offer casual advice. It is to facilitate an official transition of authority. The actions we have analyzed today, securing the physical perimeters of the royal estates, tightening the oversight of the Treasury, and defining exactly who holds institutional relevance, look exactly like the final, calculated steps of a leader preparing to assume the highest office. If King Charles steps back from his public role, the Regency Act would officially elevate William to the position of Prince Regent. In this capacity, he would wield the full operational authority of the monarch in everything but name. As we look ahead to tomorrow, the 16th of May, the pressing question inside London is no longer if William will take control, but rather how rapidly the palace will formally announce the transition. Will tomorrow bring the official declaration that the king is handing over his operational duties? If so, the strict new boundaries William implemented this morning ensure that he steps into that role with a perfectly secured institution, completely insulated from the external social influence of the Queen Consort's network. The 15th of May, 2026, will undoubtedly be recorded as the day the modern monarchy permanently changed its course. What began with the quiet removal of a few names from a guest list at Windsor Castle has ended with the highest legal authorities preparing for the transfer of the Crown's operational power. The structural landscape of the British royal family has been fundamentally redrawn in a matter of hours. But the legal intricacies of what happens next are even more complex. You need to be here for our next broadcast. We will be providing an exclusive breakdown of the specific legal files concerning the Regency Act and detailing exactly how this transition is being structured behind closed doors. Make sure you have subscribed to the channel and turned on your notifications, because you will not want to miss our complete investigation into the documents that will officially define the next era of the British monarchy.